I'm Liz Kirkwood. Thank you for this opportunity to comment on what is unfortunately a deeply flawed Line 5 alternative study. The people of Michigan are ill-served by this study. It cannot serve as a basis for an informed and intelligent decision about the fate of this profound threat to the Great Lakes. Members of your advisory board who represent citizens, businesses, tribes, and conservation agree that this final report is flawed and demanded this past Monday by resolution a more robust and comprehensive study on existing pipeline infrastructure and Michigan's, not Enbridge's, energy needs. Here are a few of the major concerns we have. Number one, the report assumes that the state must guarantee that Enbridge is able to deliver 23 million gallons of oil a day through Line 5. The legal agreement to occupy our public waters is not a covenant to keep oil pipelines operating indefinitely and at full capacity. Number two, it dismisses the most credible alternative, existing pipeline infrastructure. And yet the report acknowledges that excess pipeline capacity exists in Line 6B now, and that the Mid-Valley pipeline could supply much of the remaining needs of the Detroit and Toledo refineries. 3, operates from a bias in favoring a tunnel in the Straits of Mackinac. A tunnel, one, will not eliminate the risk to the public trust waters of the Great Lakes with over 245 other water crossings and tributaries into the Great Lakes. 2, ignores the best feasible and prudent alternatives of using existing pipeline infrastructure around the Great Lakes. 3, contravenes Michigan's legal ban and policy against oil and gas drilling in the Great Lakes. And 4, is a gateway for tar sands and new oil pipelines to be located under the straits based on international trade law. Why would Michigan want a Canadian company's tunnel located under Michigan's public waters for Canadian profit? 4, continues to underestimate the economic damage of a Line 5 spill to $100 to $200 million. This number defies logic in light of Enbridge's 2010 $1.2 billion Kalamazoo disaster and harm for the affected shoreline communities, tourism, drinking water, fisheries, etc. So where does that leave us? Though this report fails on many levels, it does substantiate the fact that Line 5 can be decommissioned with little disruption and minimal increased costs to Michigan consumers and businesses and completely eliminate the risk to the Great Lakes. The time for studies has ended. It's time for action, as the PSAB resolution affirmed on Monday. That action should start with shutting down Line 5 immediately and ultimately end with the state's revocation of the easement and the decommissioning of Line 5. Governor Snyder tried to circumvent public trust law through a private agreement with Enbridge. Because the 1953 easement with Enbridge was issued fully subject to the public trust, the public must be the ultimate decision maker. Thank you.